Welcome back to ABCGH Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the dramatic aftermath of a shocking car crash that has left Port Charles reeling and multiple lives hanging in the balance. The devastating aftermath. Law enforcement has established a perimeter around the horrific crash scene outside Charlie's pub, with Lucky Spencer frantically trying to reach the wreckage. His desperation is palpable as officers hold him back, assuring him they're doing everything they can for her. The anguish in Lucky's eyes speaks volumes about his enduring connection to Elizabeth, despite their complicated history. The crash site resembles a war zone: twisted metal, shattered glass, and the unmistakable wail of approaching ambulances cutting through the night air. Kristina Corinthos Davis stands at the periphery, physically unharmed but emotionally shattered. The weight of her actions has crashed down upon her with the same force as the vehicle that now lies mangled before her. The daughter of Sonny Corinthos, once merely troubled, now finds herself potentially responsible for multiple casualties, including Elizabeth Weber Baldwin and Rick Lansing, who were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. The victims struggle. Rick Lansing has sustained what appears to be a serious head injury, blood trickling down his temple as first responders work frantically to stabilize him. His legal brilliance and calculating mind now reduced to a vulnerable state as paramedics rush to prevent further damage. The irony isn't lost on onlookers. The man who has survived countless legal battles and mob encounters may now be felled by a vengeful act never meant for him. Elizabeth Weber Baldwin's condition remains unknown, her absence from the initial assessment creating a terrifying void of information. The beloved nurse who has healed countless Port Charles residents now requires desperate medical intervention herself. The medical staff at General Hospital, her colleagues and friends, prepare for her arrival, their professional demeanor barely masking their personal distress. Kristina's spiral into darkness. What led Kristina Corinthos to such a drastic action? Her conscience ultimately prevailed, but too late to prevent catastrophe. After deliberately tampering with Ava Jerome's brakes in a moment of blind rage, Kristina experienced a moral awakening that sent her rushing to Charlie's to warn her target. This desperate attempt at redemption only compounded the tragedy, placing her at the scene as innocent bystanders became collateral damage in her vendetta. The young Corinthos has weathered numerous storms in her life, from relationship troubles to identity struggles, but this latest chapter represents a dangerous new low. Her father's legacy of violence seems to have manifested in her actions, despite Sonny's efforts to shield his children from his darker world. The psychological implications of this inheritance will undoubtedly be explored as Port Charles processes this shocking event. The trigger: a pool and a pregnancy. The catalyst for this chain of destruction traces back to a confrontation at the Metro Court. During a heated exchange, Ava and Kristina's verbal sparring escalated to physical proximity. In the ensuing chaos, Kristina tripped over a bag and plunged through a window into the Metro Court pool. This seemingly slapstick moment carried tragic consequences. The fall resulted in Kristina losing her unborn child, a devastating blow that has clearly haunted her. Ava Jerome, never one to miss an opportunity for psychological warfare, later mocked this traumatic loss. Her calculated cruelty pushed an already fragile Kristina beyond her breaking point. The mob daughter, carrying both the Corinthos temper and the burden of her grief, snapped in a way that will forever alter multiple lives in Port Charles. Ava's dangerous game. Ava Jerome has long played with fire in Port Charles, manipulating situations and people with calculated precision. Her decision to taunt Kristina about her miscarriage demonstrates a particularly vicious streak, even for someone with Ava's checkered history. Her goal was transparent: to provoke Kristina into incriminating herself, perhaps revealing information that could be leveraged later. The former mobster appeared to relish Kristina's emotional distress, unaware that she was pushing her target toward not just verbal threats but potentially lethal action. Ava's history of survival against overwhelming odds will be tested once again as she becomes the intended victim of Kristina's sabotage, though fate has other plans for who will suffer the consequences. The question of survival. Will Rick and Elizabeth survive this catastrophic crash? The question hangs over Port Charles like a storm cloud. Elizabeth has endured countless tragedies throughout her life in Port Charles, from sexual assault as a teenager to the presumed death of Franco. Her resilience has become legendary among residents, but even the strongest spirits have their breaking points. Rick Lansing's complicated history in town, from his obsession with Sonny to his manipulations of Elizabeth years ago, makes his potential death particularly complex. Many have scores to settle with the attorney, but few would wish this violent end upon him. His relationship with his brother Sonny has evolved over the years, adding another layer of emotional complexity to this unfolding drama. The ripple effects. As Port Charles awaits news from General Hospital about the victim's conditions, the ripple effects of Kristina's actions begin to spread. Lucky Spencer's presence at the scene suggests a potential reconnection with Elizabeth, whether in mourning or recovery remains to be seen. The Spencer-Weber saga, which has spanned decades, may enter a new chapter through this tragedy. The legal implications for Kristina loom large. Despite her attempt to prevent the crash, her initial act of tampering with Ava's brakes constitutes attempted murder. The Corinthos family's influence may be tested as never before, with even Sonny's considerable power potentially insufficient to shield his daughter from the consequences of her actions. Next, we will learn about the explosive paternity mystery surrounding Sasha Gilmore Corbin's pregnancy that threatens to upend multiple lives in Port Charles and potentially fracture the Corinthos dynasty forever. A homecoming with consequences. Will Michael Corinthos face an unexpected reckoning when he returns from Germany? The heir to the Corinthos Empire has been conveniently recuperating overseas, nursing burn injuries sustained during that mysterious explosion at Sonny's penthouse. His absence from Port Charles couldn't have been more perfectly timed, almost suspiciously so, as whispers about Sasha's pregnancy have intensified throughout the town. The timing raises eyebrows among even the most casual observers. When Michael finally steps off that private jet, burn scars visible as badges of his survival, will he be walking into a storm of his own making? The prodigal son's return promises to be anything but triumphant if certain medical revelations come to light. Sources close to General Hospital suggest Michael's homecoming could coincide with the birth of Sasha's baby, creating a perfect storm of revelations and confrontations. The question on everyone's lips, will Michael maintain the charade, or will the sight of a newborn with a familiar medical condition break his resolve? The psychological weight of facing a child he's allegedly abandoned, even by proxy through Jason's cover, might prove too heavy for even the hardened Corinthos heir to bear. Some speculate that Michael's extended stay in Germany wasn't entirely medical. Has he been strategizing with international ELQ connections, preparing financial safety nets for Sasha and the baby while maintaining plausible deniability? The corporate mogul has always been meticulous in his planning, a trait inherited from both the Quartermain and Corinthos bloodlines. The pressure mounting on Sasha Gilmore Corbin could reach unbearable levels if the baby's medical condition exposes the elaborate deception. The former model has weathered numerous storms in Port Charles, from being manipulated by Valentin to her struggles with addiction, but this situation tests her resolve in unprecedented ways. Will she maintain the fiction that Jason is the father, or will maternal instinct push her toward honesty? Sasha's desire for single mother status presents an intriguing psychological dimension to this unfolding drama. After the heartbreaking loss of Liam and her tumultuous relationship with Brando, has Sasha deliberately engineered a situation where she maintains control over her child's upbringing while still securing financial support? The calculated nature of such a plan would reveal a previously unseen strategic side to Sasha's character. Hospital sources hint that Sasha has been attending prenatal appointments alone, refusing company even from those closest to her. This isolation could indicate preparation for the revelation to come, or perhaps she's steeling herself to maintain the deception indefinitely. Her medical records remain closely guarded, with Dr. Navarro personally overseeing her care, another detail that hasn't escaped notice from the hospital's more observant staff members. The Corinthos parents' reaction. Sonny Corinthos and Carly Spencer have built careers on detecting deception, and this situation may soon activate their finely tuned parental radar. The mob boss and business mogul have weathered countless family crises, but the potential revelation that their son impregnated Sasha while married to Willow and then orchestrated an elaborate cover-up involving Jason could trigger unprecedented fury. Sonny's complicated relationship with truth and loyalty makes his potential reaction particularly volatile. The Don has always preached family loyalty above all else, but has equally emphasized honesty within the family circle. Michael's deception, if proven, represents a betrayal of Sonny's core values. Insiders at the Corinthos Coffee Warehouse report, Sonny has been unusually introspective lately, perhaps subconsciously connecting dots before his conscious mind acknowledges the pattern. Carly, with her legendary ability to uncover secrets and her protective instincts toward both Michael and Jason, finds herself in an unprecedented position. Her loyalty divided between son and former husband, she may become the pivotal figure in how this revelation unfolds. Port Charles observers note, Carly has been making unscheduled visits to General Hospital's maternity ward, ostensibly for Aurora media coverage of their new facilities. Could she be preparing for a confrontation with Sasha, or positioning herself to control the narrative when the truth emerges? Jason's noble sacrifice. The stoic enforcer's willingness to shoulder responsibility for another man's actions aligns perfectly with Jason Morgan's character. Throughout his tumultuous history in Port Charles, Jason has repeatedly placed himself in the line of fire, both literally and figuratively, to protect the Corinthos family. This paternity deception represents perhaps his most personal sacrifice yet, potentially damaging his reputation and relationships to shield Michael from consequences. Jason's trademark silence has served the deception well. His minimal explanations and refusal to engage with rumors have allowed Port Charles residents to fill in the blanks with their own assumptions. The skilled strategist knows that denial often only fuels speculation, while silence eventually leads to acceptance. His occasional protective gestures towards Sasha, ensuring her car receives maintenance, arranging security upgrades at her apartment, have only reinforced the community's belief in his paternity. What remains unexplored is Jason's true motivation. Is this merely another expression of his loyalty to the Corinthos family, or does it reflect a deeper bond with Michael specifically? The two have shared a unique relationship since Michael's childhood, with Jason often serving as a moral compass despite his own complicated ethics. Perhaps Jason sees this deception as protecting not just Michael's marriage but his moral self-image, a chance for Michael to avoid becoming the kind of man who abandons his responsibilities. The heart condition revelation. The medical complication poised to unravel this carefully constructed deception couldn't be more dramatically perfect. Cardiac conditions often carry genetic signatures, and the specific defect that affected infant Michael decades ago is exceedingly rare, appearing in less than 0.01% of newborns. The statistical improbability of this condition appearing randomly in Sasha's baby creates a medical smoking gun that even the most elaborate cover story cannot explain away. General Hospital's cardiac unit has already been quietly preparing for a high-risk delivery. With specialized equipment being moved to the maternity floor, Dr. Monica Quartermain, though semi-retired, has been consulted on the case, a detail that raises additional red flags. Given her expertise in the exact condition Michael suffered from and her connection to the Quartermain family, the medical staff's preparation suggests prenatal testing has already detected abnormalities consistent with the condition. If true, Sasha may already be aware of what's coming, explaining her increasingly withdrawn behavior and private consultations with legal counsel specializing in family law. The Jen Sidwell connection. The theory that Jen Sidwell orchestrated the explosion at Sonny's penthouse specifically to remove Michael from the equation adds another layer of intrigue to this already complex situation. Sidwell's reputation for eliminating obstacles through elaborate means aligns with such a calculated move. By neutralizing Michael without killing him, which would attract too much attention, Sidwell potentially created the perfect opportunity to manipulate Sasha through financial pressure and isolation. Security footage from the penthouse explosion remains under police seal, but sources close to the investigation hint that evidence of tampering was discovered in the building's electrical system. The precision of the blast, damaging enough to injure but not kill, suggests professional expertise beyond typical Port Charles criminal elements. Sidwell's financial offers to Sasha have increased in frequency since Michael's departure, with the most recent proposal including provisions for family support that seemed unnecessary for a single woman, unless Sidwell already knew about her pregnancy. The timing of these offers, coinciding with Michael's absence, creates a pattern too consistent to be coincidental. The town's speculation. Port Charles thrives on gossip, and the rumored affair between Jason and Sasha has provided fertile ground for speculation. The Metro Court Bar has become ground zero for theories ranging from the plausible to the absurd. Some patrons insist they spotted clandestine meetings between the pair at the docks, while others claim Jason has been secretly renovating a safe house for Sasha and the baby. The whispers have reached even the most disconnected corners of town. Nurses at General Hospital exchange knowing glances when Sasha arrives for appointments. Patrons at Kelly's fall silent when Jason enters. The collective assumption has calcified into perceived truth, creating an environment where questioning the paternity seems almost heretical. This town-wide acceptance makes the potential revelation even more explosive. When communities collectively invest in a narrative, the discovery of deception often triggers disproportionate outrage. The residents of Port Charles may feel personally betrayed by the elaborate ruse, particularly those who defended Jason against criticism or offered support to Sasha based on the presumed circumstances. Welcome to Port Charles, where family secrets never stay buried for long, and where a baby's heartbeat might just expose the most elaborate deception the town has seen in years. The countdown to truth has begun, and no one, not Michael, not Jason, not Sasha, can predict who will be left standing when the dust settles. Next, we will learn about the shocking possibility that Monica Quartermain's life may be hanging in the balance due to the devastating actions of her adopted son Drew Kane, potentially setting up one of the most tragic exits in Port Charles history. The uncertain future awaits. It goes without saying that devoted ABC General Hospital enthusiasts will need to remain vigilantly tuned in to each and every episode as this potentially heartbreaking storyline unfolds. The daily developments could bring unexpected twists that might forever alter the landscape of Port Charles and the historic Quartermain dynasty. Industry insiders have hinted that the writing team has been working overtime crafting what could be one of the most emotionally resonant arcs in recent memory, with multiple contingency plans depending on audience reaction to the initial hints of Monica's potential demise. The production schedule has reportedly been adjusted to accommodate what sources describe as particularly demanding emotional scenes in the coming weeks. Several veteran cast members were spotted leaving late-night filming sessions visibly affected, suggesting the gravity of what's being captured on camera. Costume designers have allegedly been instructed to prepare somber wardrobes for multiple characters, further fueling speculation about funeral preparations within the narrative. Behind-the-scenes whispers indicate that executive producers have been in close consultation with medical experts to ensure the portrayal of Monica's decline, should it come to pass, is handled with appropriate sensitivity and realism. The attention to detail speaks to the show's commitment to honoring Leslie Charleston's decades-long contribution to the series, regardless of how her character's journey concludes. Fan reactions reach fever pitch. The digital sphere has erupted with passionate discourse regarding this potential narrative direction, with viewer sentiment overwhelmingly protective of Monica's legacy. One particularly poignant comment captured the emotional investment of longtime viewers. "Monica deserves to die peacefully in her sleep, and I want Tracy to be the one to find her because of the symbolism that would have for the legacies and veterans." This sentiment reflects the deep understanding fans have of the complex sisterly relationship between Monica and Tracy, a dynamic built on decades of rivalry, reluctant respect, and ultimately family loyalty that transcended their differences. Another viewer expressed their emotional breaking point with remarkable candor. "I hope not. That might send me over the edge. Drew is not this important to the family, and I'm sick of the writers making him this big deal." This reaction exemplifies the growing frustration among the show's dedicated audience regarding Drew's elevated position within the Quartermain hierarchy, a position many feel has been artificially inflated without sufficient character development to justify such prominence. Social media platforms have become virtual town halls, where viewers debate the narrative ethics of potentially sacrificing a beloved legacy character to advance the storyline of a relatively recent addition to the canvas. Fan-created polls show overwhelming opposition to Monica's death, particularly if used as a plot device to generate guilt for Drew. Hashtags like #SaveMonica and #QuartermainLegacy have gained traction, demonstrating the collective anxiety about losing another cornerstone of Port Charles society. Drew's diminishing reputation. The scathing assessment of Drew's character continues with another fan's observation. "I don't think that would do it for Monica, though. I just think having her legacy involved with this horrible character is a slap in the face. Drew is literally nobody." This cutting evaluation speaks volumes about the disconnect between the writer's apparent vision for Drew and the audience's perception of his worth within the storied Quartermain lineage. The characterization of Drew as literally nobody reflects a fundamental rejection of the narrative importance assigned to him since his introduction as Jason's twin. Despite sharing DNA with the beloved Morgan family and being legally adopted by Monica, viewers have struggled to embrace Drew with the same fervor accorded to established Quartermain figures. His military background and initial amnesiac storyline provided intriguing potential, but many feel his character development has stagnated into a one-dimensional corporate schemer, lacking the complexity that defines Port Charles' most enduring residents. Industry analysts have noted that Drew's portrayal represents a common challenge in long-running serials: the difficulty of integrating newer characters into established family dynamics without diminishing the emotional investment viewers have in legacy relationships. The writer's apparent strategy of elevating Drew's importance through conflict with beloved characters like Michael and now potentially Monica has backfired, creating resentment rather than engagement among significant segments of the audience. The logical consequences theory. The astute analysis continues with another viewer's logical progression, but if they have Monica die right now of natural causes in the thick of things, won't it be common sense for people to think it was at least partly due to her being depressed about Drew? This observation highlights the inevitable in-universe conclusion characters would draw from the timing of Monica's potential passing, regardless of the medical cause listed on her death certificate. The psychological impact of family betrayal on physical health has been well documented in medical literature, lending credibility to the narrative device of a broken heart contributing to Monica's decline. Throughout her decades in Port Charles, Monica has weathered countless storms, the deaths of children, marital infidelity, professional challenges, yet maintained her resilience. The suggestion that Drew's betrayal could be the final blow that her heart cannot withstand speaks volumes about the perceived severity of his actions against the family. From a storytelling perspective, this creates a fascinating moral gray area. Drew wouldn't be legally culpable for Monica's death, yet would bear tremendous ethical responsibility, a burden that could potentially trigger character growth or conversely push him further into villainy as a defensive response to overwhelming guilt. Either direction would provide rich narrative possibilities, though viewers remain skeptical about the necessity of sacrificing Monica to facilitate Drew's character development. The potential matricide. The most damning assessment of the rumored storyline comes in this scathing prediction. Of course, this will make Drew even more of a slimeball that he is, as he will basically kill his own mother, but whether or not he will become a little repentant after this remains to be seen. The characterization of Drew's actions as tantamount to matricide reflects the moral judgment many viewers have passed on his recent behavior. The concept of killing someone through emotional distress rather than direct physical action creates an intriguing ethical dilemma rarely explored in daytime drama. While Port Charles has seen its share of murderers, from serial killers to crime family enforcers, the idea of causing death through betrayal and heartbreak operates in a more nuanced moral territory. Drew wouldn't face legal consequences for Monica's passing, yet would carry a burden potentially more devastating than prison, the knowledge that his ambition and selfishness destroyed the woman who embraced him as her son. The skepticism about Drew's capacity for genuine repentance speaks to viewers' perception of his character as fundamentally self-serving. Unlike other reformed villains in Port Charles history, Sonny, Julian, even Franco, Drew lacks the charisma and complexity that typically facilitate redemption arcs. His calculated corporate maneuvers lack the passionate impulsivity that often makes soap villains simultaneously reprehensible and compelling. Without that foundation, any remorse following Monica's death risks appearing hollow and performative rather than transformative. Monica's heartbreaking potential fate. At the heart of this speculation lies the devastating possibility. There's heavy speculation suggesting that Monica will be so heartbroken over what Drew is doing to the family that she won't be able to take it anymore and die of a broken heart. This poetic yet tragic end would conclude one of daytime television's most enduring character journeys, dating back to Leslie Charleston's first appearance in 1977. The medical concept of Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, literally broken heart syndrome, provides scientific credibility to this narrative device. The condition, triggered by extreme emotional distress, causes the heart muscle to temporarily weaken and can be fatal, particularly in elderly patients with pre-existing cardiac issues. Monica's history of heart problems, including her past heart transplant, establishes medical precedent that would make such an outcome clinically plausible within the show's universe. From a character perspective, Monica's potential death from heartbreak would represent a tragically fitting conclusion to her story. Throughout her decades in Port Charles, the Quartermaine matriarch has defined herself through her fierce love for her family, biological, adopted, and chosen. Her willingness to embrace Jason's children, Drew upon his arrival, and countless others demonstrated her expansive capacity for maternal love. That this same heart, which found room for so many, could ultimately be broken by familial betrayal, creates a narrative symmetry that, while devastating, honors the character's emotional journey. Welcome to Port Charles, where family bonds can sustain you through the darkest times or break your heart beyond repair. As the Quartermaine legacy hangs in the balance, viewers can only watch with bated breath to see if Monica will become the latest casualty of ambition and betrayal in a town that has seen more than its share of both.